Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Athletics and Recreation Center on the campus of Queen's University. It is Saturday night OUA women's volleyball action. It is the hometown Queen's Gaels hosting the 4th-ranked Toronto Varsity Blues. Toronto comes in with a 10-1 record, matched up against the Gaels, who sit at 8-5 thanks to their loss last night against the Ryerson Rams in a 4-set back-and-forth affair. But again, they have their work cut out for them here against a Toronto team who sits second in the OUA East but are 10-1 and have 3 games in hand on the Ryerson Rams, and will look to take care of that, at least one of those games here tonight, taking on the Gaels, who sit in 3rd place, are still 2 games up on the York Lions, and Nipissing Trent and RMC rounding out the rest of the OUA East Division standings. Toronto led by Alina Dorman, who's got 132 kills so far. She'll be opposed to the other side by Ariel Palermo, who will have a feature on later on in the broadcast. But Palermo leading the Gaels with 153 kills, and shortly behind her is Julia Vertigro with 123. Both teams wearing their navy blue, Gaels with their gold trim, Toronto with their white trim. And it looks as though we will get started with first serve coming off the hand of Danielle Corrigan. As we get underway here on Saturday evening OUA women's volleyball action, Corrigan going to take first serve here for the Gaels. 3 dropped into serve receive here for Toronto. And a short serve from Corrigan goes off her hand a little unorthodox and into the tape. And right away coming off will be Anna Licht from the bench for Toronto. And Jenna Wook will go back to serve here for the Varsity Blues. Jumping float from her, goes long but stays in play. Go to the left side, Palermo cuts across and no touch called on the block. Ariel Palermo going to have to be aggressive early on here for the Gaels. Had a great day from the service line yesterday and offers so much out of that left side attack for Ryan Ratushniak and the Gaels. Wook with another serve, passed up by Zaniatel, set to the inside by Van Der Linde, tipped over top of the block. Drops into the open pot. Defense a little slow to react on that play for the Varsity Blues, and coming back off the bench. So back to the service line will be Tia Cook. Deep float from Cook. Pass set to the inside, set right side, and across court off the arms of Cook. As Alina Dorman gets involved early here in the Toronto offense. Will not be the last time we say her name here tonight. Among one of the best players in the country right now is Alina Dorman. But mishandles on the spin attempt serve. A little bit short. And teams trading points here early on. A couple of service errors on either side. And Palermo, and I'll go back to the service line for Queens. Kanturk running the offense for the Varsity Blues. A deep serve, let go nicely. As Asla Ersazalu, the 5th-year libero for Toronto, be manning the defense and controlling the backcourt. Set to the outside, Vertigro goes straight down the line. Passed in tight as Kanturk. Going to be called under the line or on the net. So again, the early continuation of points, or trading of points here early on continues. As Van Der Linde goes back to the service line here for Queens. Jumping float from her. Pass comes in tight to Kanturk. There's the left side cross-court attack, and it's picked up and off the top of the block. Just going to get recycled. Dorman keeps it alive. Just going to be thrown over by Ersazalu. Ball comes in tight on the step around to Corrigan. Finds the back corner. Great execution on the step to Danielle Corrigan. Finds a seam in the attack, and the Gaels are back on even terms. Van Der Linde continuing the service run here for the Gaels. Kanturk sets the C ball to Dorman. The attacking error goes out the back. Having to get out of the way of that ball coming through was Palermo. And now the Gaels are on top. float serve from her, goes off the arms of Ursazalu and out of bounds. Service run continuing here for Van Der Linde. Maybe a different look here on serve receive for Toronto. Dorman deep in the seam. Ursazalu able to pick it up and having to scramble is Kanturk. But an easy free ball opportunity now. Corrigan with another swing on the step around. Taking advantage of that matchup inside as she swings over top of Kaylee Cruikshank. The Gaels off to a nice start here, up 7-4. Angle comes across to Cruikshank. Kanturk on the step around back the other way. Or Toronto's got it tight to the net, just going to throw it over on the free ball. Kolpitz outside. Vert with a swing. It's going to go to the Gaels as Toronto caught on the net once again. And Christine Drakic going to take a timeout here for Toronto as the Gaels are up 8-4 here early on. It's a great job by the Gaels offensively, getting Danielle Corrigan involved early. And Toronto going to take a timeout here. Things have not gone their way. A couple of serve receiving errors, haven't been able to get their big swingers involved as Dorman and Wook have been a little quiet here. So, see what they can do coming out of the timeout. Saffron Van Der Linde, the Gaels profile this week. The Gaels picked up a big win over Western last weekend, and Van Der Linde played a major role defensively with 4 solo and 4 assisted blocks. Followed that performance up with 5 assisted blocks the following night and finished the weekend with 21.5 points. As the Gaels had a successful weekend on the road against Western and Windsor. Float serve from Van Der Linde this time goes into the net. So the timeout for the time being slows the serve down to Van Der Linde. And Anna Licht will go back to serve here, the 5th-year senior from Toronto. Jumping float from Licht. Kolpitz to the outside. Vertigro comes cross court with a hard attack. As Licht is there for the pass, but unable to pick it back up into the middle of the floor as Ursazalu will come back onto the floor. And Kolpitz will go back to the service line for Queens. Deep float serve from her. Kanturk to the outside, off the top of the block. Getting a touch is Palermo, but Kaylee Cruikshank gets on the board for the Varsity Blues. And Lydia Kanturk will go back to serve now. 9-6 the score in favor of Queens. Kanturk at the service line and 3 attacks in the front court here for Toronto. Jumping float from Kanturk. We go at Vertigro. Kolpitz inside to Corrigan in the middle. They're able to keep it up on the scramble. Ursazalu over on the free ball. Palermo. Pass comes inside. Pass over to Vertigro. Able to handle out of position 6. Great set to the top. Dorman goes over top of the block. Kolpitz going to push over. There on the tip, just over top of the block. And Dorman comes straight down over top of the block, set by Corrigan and Cook. It's Alina Dorman with that left hand reaching so high over top. Able to swing in and force the Gaels block to make an adjustment on the next time through. Kanturk continuing to serve. Comes across. It's an overpass from Vertigro, going to be tipped down, but not enough pace on the ball to find the floor. Cook, the swing from the left side. Kanturk, tipped over the top by Dorman. It'll be reset. Kolpitz to the outside, off the block again. Able to be kept alive, but can't scramble to get it over top of the net. Queens leading 10-7, back up by 3, and Vertigro will go to the service line. Deep ball goes at Ursazalu. Kanturk to the outside. Dorman off the block. Having to scramble to get to it as Vertigro, then just tossed over on the free ball by Palermo. And then Dorman comes back on a swing from the left side. Kolpitz, Palermo rolls down the line, but cuts a little bit too far outside the antenna. And the point will go to Toronto, who are back within 4. Well, they actually give the point to Queens. So maybe the Varsity Blues were caught on the net. Vertigro. Serve goes into the tape. So a free point back the other way. Cruikshank will take her spot on the service line here for Toronto. Jumping float serve from her. Passed up and unable to get it up in time to Colpitz. On serve receive there is Zanytel. As Cruikshank will go back for another. The rest of the team getting instruction from Lauren Colpitz. Float comes over the top. Vertigo able to get some height underneath. Colpitz gets to the outside. Palermo with a roll and a bit of an off-balance shot as Dorman goes straight at Vertigo and it finds the line. Getting tossed over by Tia Cook. So great job defensively by Vertigo to absorb the impact of that kill from Dorman. Corrigan getting serve location instruction from Coach Ratushniak. He's going to go deep at Ursazalu. Kanturk inside. Run the ball out of the middle. Push to the far side. Palermo goes into 6 and then tipped open. Great job picking it up defensively. Maybe there was a double calling on the set there from Kanturk. Ursazalu back to Dorman off the block. They'll recycle. Ursazalu on second ball comes to the left side. Cross court, no. Goes out of bounds and the Gaels weather the storm. No contact made on the block. And it's 13-9 here for Queens, approaching the first set. Technical timeout. Their deep ball goes at Ursazalu again. Kanturk to the left side, this time finding the cross-court winner. As Toronto's back within 3. As Wook goes back to the service line for Toronto. Big swing by Palermo. They recycle though. Push right back to the far side. Palermo going to go up again. Rolls this time. Kanturk sets to the inside. Tipped over the block. Setters out. You have to go to the left side to Palermo. Goes cross court. Ball comes in tight. Just going to be tipped back by Tia Cook. And another point earned at the net by the Gaels as they lead 14-10. Tia Cook will go back to serve here for the Gaels. 3 dropped into serve receive here for the Blues. Deep ball goes out the back. A little too much pace on the ball from Cook. Wisely let go there by the Varsity Blues. As Alina Dorman goes back to serve now for Toronto. See if she goes back to the spinner. Looks as though she will. Handed up by Zanytel. Colpitz to the outside. Palermo straight down to the floor. Great reach up top by Ariel Palermo. Extends so high over top of the block. Tough for the defense to do anything about that. As the Gaels are within a point of getting to the tech timeout with the lead. Hard serve by Palermo. Just going to be tossed over on the free ball as Kanturk scrambles to get to third ball. A little bit too tight on the first ball and off the arms and out of bounds on Cruikshank. That'll take us to the opening set technical timeout. Queens leading the 4th-ranked Toronto Varsity Blues 16-11. Join us back after these short messages. Get a quick look here at Ariel Palermo. At 12 kills last night and 8 aces, so leads the OUA in aces per set at 0.83 and a career high 8 last night and 7 digs in a losing effort to the Ryerson Rams. Again, Palermo's big stat of the night last night are 8 aces, a career high for her, and was huge in terms of the Gaels keeping things close against Ryerson. And she'll be looked at and counted on once again tonight, not just in the front court with her swings, but in the backcourt with her digs and her aces as well from the service line. So Palermo, among the best in the OUA this season. And so far, the Gaels are up 16-11 at the technical timeout and are taking on the nationally ranked Toronto Varsity Blues and are in control here midway through the opening set. We'll see what Toronto has coming out of the tech timeout. Palermo will be at the service line. It's a really hard float serve to deal with. likely going to attack the 1-6 seam where Ursazalu is occupying, and that's where they go. Ursazalu with a great pass, though. Picks it up, they run the pipe to Dorman. Takes a little bit off the ball, and it's tough to deal with. It's going to be sent over on a free ball by Queens. Kanturk into the middle, tipped over the top. Great adjustment midair by Toronto. Queens called on the net regardless, but now a double substitution upcoming now for Toronto as the the Blues get a little bit more size at the net. So bring in Haley Goodwin to act as the backcourt hands and bring a bit of size into the front court. Trying to win a few points at the net, but it's a deep serve. Just finds the back corner right there to make the call. Looks like it was dipping at the last second. That ball looked as though it was going to be well out of bounds, but takes a dip at the last minute for the Ace. A little bit less pace on this one. Certainly drops into Zandutel. Colpitz pushed far side and going straight down the line and out of bounds. So now an attacking error from Queens. 3 straight points coming out of the tech timeout for Toronto. And it'll be a timeout coming from Ryan Ratushniak and the Gaels as they look to talk things over. So the Varsity Blues fighting back here in the middle part of the set, earning 3 straight points. So we'll see what the Gaels have in store now after a run back the other way. Critical juncture coming out of the tech timeout. So obviously going to go one of 2 ways as Gaels could have created further separation and made this a cakewalk in the opening set, but the Toronto Varsity Blues with only 1 loss on the year and riding a 10-game winning streak. Certainly not going to be a rollover by any means and showing why. They are tops in the OUA and 4th in the country. So continuing to serve. Touch goes up top and a cross-court attack. Great pickup by Ursazalu. Push to the far side off the top of the block and another point earned for Toronto. Great swing there by Kaylee Cruikshank. Cotoon continuing to serve here for Toronto. She has brought the Varsity Blues to within 1. Another deep ball goes at Verchagro. Colpitz sets to Van Der Linde straight down the line. Ursazalu digs it up. And just a careless sort of toss, trying to get that ball back into play there by Workman. Could have probably done a bit more with that, just getting it straight up in the air, but trying to maybe force it over top of the net on one swing. Ends the run, and the Gaels are back up by a pair with Van Der Linde serving. Deep ball from her. Ursazalu. And off serve receive goes into the net, and unable to handle that was Goodwin, so now back-to-back points after the run there by Toronto. Gaels have a 3-point edge. Gonna try to continue to close the gap here. Tight pass up again and serve receive. Been a bit of an issue here for the Varsity Blues over the last couple of points, and Christine Drakic gonna take another timeout as the Varsity Blues were within 1 and now giving up 3 straight. And now trail by 4. So 19-15, the lead now for the Gaels. They won the opening set last night against Ryerson before dropping 3 in a row. So we'll see if they can outlast the Varsity Blues here and get to the second set with the match lead. But Toronto gonna try to come out of the timeout once again, much like they did earlier out of the tech timeout, and went on a run to close the gap. Went on a 4-point run to close it to within a single. Now a 3-point run back the other way for the Gaels. Have this at a 19-15 opening set line. Deep serve from Van Der Linde. Comes in tight. Set inside. Great attack by the Varsity Blues. Great setup there. It goes to Anna Lisht. 19-16 the lead now. Jump float goes deep. Palermo picks up first ball. Kolpitz to the outside. Verchegro comes cross court. So Verchegro creating some offense on the left side. Now they got Kolpitz coming in to serve. Passed up there, but it's an overpass. Leads to the swing. Great up by Ursazalu. They go cross court and find the corner. So an excellent momentum point there, perhaps, for Toronto. Ursazalu with an excellent dig, then the push to the left side, or the right side, leads to an attack. And Toronto's back within 3. Go at Verchegro, Kolpitz, in tight, good swing to Corrigan. Great find on the set there by Julia Kolpitz. Lauren Kolpitz. Julia Verchegro back to serve. Pass goes straight up in the middle of the court, come to the outside, cross-court swing, and it's picked up by Zanditel. Kolpitz to Palermo, squeezes through the block. As the Gaels continue to roll, then the Varsity Blues will make their double substitution. Back into the game will be Kanturk and Dorman. As Verchegro continues to serve, Gaels 3 points away from the opening set victory. Deep ball goes to Ursazalu, mishandles on first ball. Palermo picks it up over top of the net. Palermo again into the block and out of bounds. Good use of the tool there by Ariel Palermo goes off hands and out of play. Verchegro, hard serve, goes off the arms of Crookshank, and again, serve receive, letting the Varsity Blues down here in this opening set. As Verchegro will try to serve the Gaels out here and get the opening set victory. Deep floater from Verchegro, they go right at Crookshank. Set inside, and the whistle goes. Queen's gonna be called on the net. So the Varsity Blues stay alive, and they'll go to Crookshank at the service line. Serve gets passed up by Verchegro. Push far side. Palermo ends the opening set with a hard swing from the left side for Queens. Gaels take the opening set 25-18 and lead the match 1-0. Join us back for the second set. You're watching the Gaels and Varsity Blues live on OUA TV.
Hannaford, loose left shot scores! I said a couple of minutes ago, strap yourself in. Well, how about these last 37 and a half seconds?
Where exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated, Ontario University Athletics.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid. All right, Burnsy, how cold do you think that water is?
It doesn't matter, Connor. That target's way too small for you.
Whatever, you're going in here. Enjoy your swim, Burnsy.
Connor.
I told you.
I got you a little winning prize there. Hope you keep it company at night.
Thanks.
Let's do this again one day.
Thanks. Looks just like you.
When kids in need are given the chance to play sports, what you're really equipping us for is life. Support the future of your community. Support Jumpstart. Because we all play for Canada.
Loose puck shot scores! I said a couple of minutes ago, strap yourself in. Well, how about these last 37 and a half seconds?
And welcome back to the Athletics and Recreation Center. Gaels taking the opening set 25-18. And we'll look to continue that momentum. Great set offensively by Queens. Cruikshank starts the service run. Was off the arms of Palermo, just going to be sent back up by Corrigan, but go right back to Palermo and they'll recycle. Courier to the left side to Dorman, goes cross court. Set inside to Colpit, it's just going to be tossed over on the free ball by Palermo. Set to the right side, Dorman off the top of the block. Able to be picked up defensively though by the Gaels. Tia Cook just throws it over on the free ball. Courier off the pass, inside, off the top, and they continue the rally back and forth. Pushing tight to Palermo, off the block, no call on the touch. So the point's gonna go to Toronto. So go back to the service line again to Cruikshank. Deep serve from her, goes off the shoulder there of Vert. Palermo keeps it alive, rolls off the top. Set to the outside to Dorman, cross court again. As Dorman able to change the path of that swing in midair and angles outside the block set and finds the open floor. And a service ace from Cruikshank. So 3 straight points to start the set here for the Varsity Blues. So they put Goodwin into set. Deep ball passed up by Zanutel. Goes to the inside to Van Der Linde. They'll reset off the arms of Dorman. Pass far side. Swings off the top of the block. As Lisht or Kotan tries to get underneath. Might see an early timeout here, and we do as the Gaels call a timeout, down 4-0. So an early spell there for the timeout for Queens, but need to talk things over and try to regroup here before things get out of reach. So again, heading into tonight's action, it is Palermo, Verchegro, and Corrigan leading the way in terms of attacks for the Gaels. Corrigan up top with Van Der Linde closely behind in terms of blocks. And Verchegro, Siofis, and Palermo, 1, 2, 3 on the team for for digs, all 3 of which are separated by a single. Versazalu, Cruikshank, and Kanturk leading the way digs for Toronto. Wook, Lisht, and Dorman leading the way for blocks, and then Dorman, Wook, and Cruikshank leading the offense for Toronto, with Dorman far and away the team's top point producer. Deep serve goes off the arms of Verchegro. Palermo sent far side off the hands of Cook. They're going to say no contact made on the swing. The official's right there to see it. I thought maybe it had clipped the tape as well, so the point is going to go to the Varsity Blues. And it's 5 in a row to start the set for Toronto. Jumping float serve from Cruikshank. Set to the right side, having to adjust is Corrigan, who finds, or make that Cook, finds the open floor. Great swing there by Tia Cook. Able to get a nice angle and gets it across court for the winner. Queens on the board, first point of for the evening for Tia Cook. And she gives the point right back as she serves into the net. Zanytel back onto the floor for the Gaels in serve receive. A deep ball on the serve there from Anna Lisht. Off the block on the swing there from Van Der Linde. Drops to the open floor, and the Varsity Blues are up by 6, up 7-1. See if Lisht can continue her service run here. Coming from off the court, now onto the court. Deep in that service line, goes off the arms of Verchegro. The lack of communication at the back there is thought maybe they had been out of position on serve receive. And the Varsity Blues out in control right now, leading 8-1. So Lisht taking a bit of an angle coming in on the serve. Goes at Zanytel. Kolpitz passes up. Palermo can't adjust in time and has that roll shot cut into the net. And we're going to get a substitution now as Melican's going to come on for Verchegro. Saw Melican come in a couple times last night. Once for Palermo, once for Verchegro. So the first left side off the bench, at least lately, is Rachel Melican. She's going to be locked in behind the serve receivers. Zanytel passes it up nicely. Kolpitz on the step to Van Der Linde, tipped over the top. And trying to cut underneath is Crookshank to get contact, but unable to do so. Make that Jenna Wook in pursuit of the ball. And now the Gaels have their best server at the line in Palermo, trying to make up a 7-point deficit that the Gaels are facing now. Palermo straight down the line, but it's out of bounds. Good location, just a little bit too far wide. And not much going right here in the opening part of the second set for Queens. And now Alina Dorman back to the service line for Toronto. Great serve by her, leads to an overpass, and then Wook just sends the open ball back to the floor. And another substitution. Verchegro going to come right back in for Melican. So Verchegro on the rotation is back in. Over top, great serve by Dorman. Kolpitz gets to it. Verchegro from the left. Gets the point right back for Queens. And now they've got Verchegro, Kolpitz, and Corrigan at the front with Van Der Linde back to serve. Floater from Van Der Linde is deep, but it's handled. Passed up to the left side, straight down the line. Another hard attack, this time from Kotan. 12-3 is the lead now in favor of the Gaels, or excuse me, of the Varsity Blues, and looking more like the fourth-seeded team in the country so far in this set. And a short serve gets the best of Ariel Palermo. We might see another timeout here before the technical timeout coming for Queens, as they trail by 10 early on here. Float serve goes across. Palermo with a party ball again, but it's blocked at the net by Kolpitz. Great read by Lauren Kolpitz, just getting anything up in front of the net. And it's a great execution there by the Gaels setter. Kolpitz back to the service line here for Queens. So 3 attackers in the front court. Kolpitz sets inside, and they go right back to Jenna Wook. And it's 14-4 approaching the tech timeout. Usually a pretty good indicator of how the set's going to unfold is whoever's leading at the tech. Obviously, if things are a lot closer than this, it's tougher to predict. Verchegro comes right back with a swing on the right side. So the Gaels not stopping regardless of the deficit they face on the scoreboard here at 14-5. But Gonna dig every single point, and Vert goes back to serve. Floater from her. The set goes inside, set the C ball to Dorman, and the attacking error there from Toronto's number 3. Able to keep her feet clean behind the attack line, but as a result, having to reach a little high, and the ball comes out flat. They go at her, Sazalu. The attack goes off. Gaels going to recycle the ball. Great swing cross court, but it's dug up by Dorman. Going to look for a double. They're not going to get it, though. That's a tough break there for Queens, as it looked as though there was a double coming on the set there. So a little liberal on the hands, I believe, on that rally through, as I think the Gaels and Ratushniak have an argument there. So it didn't look clean coming off the hands of Haley Goodwin, but they win the point nonetheless. Goodwin straight down the line to Palermo. Set to the right side. Great swing from Tia Cook. Gets the Gaels back to within 8. And they'll try to cut into the deficit here before the tech timeout, trailing 15-7. And Corrigan to the service line. Set comes in tight, push to the left side. A Dorman comes straight across. Splits between Corrigan and Vertigo, and that'll take us to the second set technical timeout. Toronto leads Queens 16-7. Join us right back after these short messages. You're watching Gaels and Varsity Blues on OUA TV.
Where exceptional student athletes are born. Where records are broken. Where great plays are made. Where school colors ignite passion. Where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid.
And coming out of the technical timeout, Toronto leading Queens 16-7, but trail the match 1-0. Will look to push their way through and even things up with a strong second half of this second set. But the point goes to the Gaels coming out of the timeout. Cross-court angle. They'll have Cook back to serve here for Queens, trailing 16-8. Floater from Cook. Sazalu. Goodwin to the outside to Dorman. Getting the dig there was Tia Cook, but unable to keep the play alive. Good touch on the ball, but unable to make it playable on the swing there from Alina Dorman. Lish to serve here for Toronto. Jumping float from her. They go at Zanyatel. Run the step to Van Der Linde. And unable to get the scramble sent over the net on the free ball. A little bit of a mess defensively that time by Toronto. Sazalu going to come off the bench and onto the floor and serve receive here for the Varsity Blues as they gear up for Ariel Palermo. Hard float off the tape. Good handle on defense, though, by Cruikshank. Picked up there by Siofis to the left side off the block from Vertigo. Just going to reset as Kolpitz gets to it. Good push up to the top, but the block is there. Toronto called on the net. Combination of Wook and Dorman making contact with the net. And the Gaels are back within 7, and Palermo will continue to serve. Hard serve again from her. Great pass by Sazalu. Goes straight up. Dorman with a throw tip into the block. Onto the far side, off the block again, they'll recycle. Set to the C-ball to Tia Cook, tries to roll it over top of the block, but doesn't get enough pace on the ball, and it's short into the net. And Dorman will go back to serve. 7 points to the second set victory here for Toronto. Dorman goes back to the spinner, goes over top of the tape. Zanutel gets a touch on it. Having to scramble though is Kolpitz. They're going to say it dropped right in front of Sazalu. So the attack works out nicely that time as Van Der Linde back to serve and Corrigan back to the front court. Deep float serve is picked up by Cruikshank. Go to the outside, roll over top of the block. Kolpitz to the pipe as Palermo gets a touch. Sazalu just going to throw it back over. Wisely played up by Palermo. Tipped over the top. They'll recycle out of the pot. Far side to Lisht off the top of the block. Palermo with a great touch on the ball to keep it alive. Point swung through. Toronto called on the net. Great individual effort by Ariel Palermo. He's able to scramble and get to that ball and keep it alive. Ultimately leading to the point one on the attack from Vert, who's now got 8 through a set and a half. Van Der Linde, deep serve. It's going to land in the back corner. So serve-receive communication is a tight one there, and I think they're going to call a timeout, and they will. So Christine Drakic and the Varsity Blues coaching staff going to talk things over and perhaps settle things down here. Toronto giving up a handful of points here in the last few rallies. That has the Gaels back to within 5. Still a comfortable 18-13 lead for Toronto. But again, looking to perhaps take the wind out of the sails of the Gaels after that save and attack by Palermo and Verchegro. So a well-taken timeout now, just going to settle the starters down. We continue to roll with Goodwin after a pretty good opening set by Lydia Kanturk. So 5-point lead right now for the Varsity Blues, but Van Der Linde and the Gaels on a service run. They go at Cruikshank. Goodwin into the middle. Great block by Corrigan. They'll reset to the left side. Lisht, double block! Danielle Corrigan, back-to-back blocks. A little bit of support there from Lauren Kolpitz. And now suddenly the lead is just 4. Van Der Linde continuing to serve here. And this time into the net, so a tough end to an otherwise great service run by Saffron Van Der Linde that brought the Gaels to within 4. Free point gets them back to 5 now for Toronto. And serving will be Hope Coton. Well behind the service line. Run the step to Corrigan. That's worked out very well here so far for the Gaels. I believe she's 3 for 3 on the step so far. And the Gaels not saying die here, trailing 19-15. Standing float. Fast up ball comes in tight. Sets off the top of the block. They'll reset with Siofis. Great set to the outside off the block. Gonna say no touch as Tia Cook makes contact but went into the tape. Tough break there for Queens. Could have been a huge, huge point for them. Deep float serve goes at Zanutel. Kolpitz. Great misdirection on the set and sold in the middle by Corrigan. Easy pass up for Zanutel. Set inside to Corrigan this time. Danielle Corrigan earns the point for Queens. 20-16 with Verchegro back to serve and Palermo in the front court. Deep float serve. It's played up by Lisht. Set the C-ball to Dorman, tips over the top, and it drops in. Unable to get there in time is Siofis. Good read there by Alina Dorman. Courier will come back into the backcourt. As a rotating libero. Serve goes straight at Palermo. Good pass up. Kolpitz, touch over the top. Set to the outside to Dorman. Goes cross court. Vert picks that up. Kolpitz, far side. Palermo going to call no touch again. As Palermo's a little bit shallow on the attack. Goes into the tape. And 4 touches called and a timeout by the Gaels. Try to talk things over, come up with a game plan out of serve receive. So a couple of scares there for Toronto, but lead 22-16. A couple of runs by the Gaels. At one point was an 17-9 lead for Toronto. 18-11, but now 22-16. Gaels chipping away and making things interesting here, but still have the cushion of a opening set victory. So if Toronto wins this one, we'll go to at least a 4th set. And are 3 points away from doing so, plus service coming out of the timeout. It's been an excellent game so far for the Gaels' number 8, Danielle Corrigan. Interesting to see the stat after the second set. See what her attacking percentage and block points are at. And just a little bit balance on the other side. Of course, Dorman leading the way for Toronto, but plenty of action across the way for the Varsity Blues. Zanutel with a pass, comes in tight. Kolpitz sets to the right side. Cook swings into the block. So Tia Cook wants that one back, taking responsibility for the location of her attack after it was blocked. And they'll try to reset once again. Deep float ball is having to get to it as Vertigo. Then Palermo swings, but it's wider than a court. And that'll set up set point here for Toronto as they trail 24-16 are the Gaels. Deep float ball is handled by Vertigo. Zanutel comes left side to Palermo. Going to roll. Great location. And a bit of spin on the ball there from Ariel Palermo to find the open spot and one. Griffin DeMars Kenshaw coming in for Palermo to provide a bit of size on the left side. So the Gaels can ill afford now to give up any points as they send Tia Cook over to the left side. And they'll just send the free ball over. And the roll from Cook, and it's going to be out of bounds. So the substitution short-lived for the Gaels as Toronto takes the second set 25-17. We are all tied up after 2 sets, 1 set apiece. Join us back for the third. You're watching Toronto and Queens on OUA TV.
Hannaford, loose puck, shot scores! I said a couple of minutes ago, stuff yourself in. Well, how about these last 37 and a half seconds?
Where exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated, Ontario University Athletics.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid.
All right, Burnsy, how cold do you think that water is?
It doesn't matter, Connor. That target's way too small for you.
Whatever, you're going in here. Enjoy your swim, Burnsy.
Connor.
I told you.
I got you a little winning prize there. Hope you keep it company at night.
Thanks.
Let's do this again one day.
Thanks. Looks just like you.
When kids in need are given the chance to play sports, what you're really equipping us for is life. Support the future of your community. Support Jumpstart. Because we all play for Canada.
And welcome back to the Athletics and Recreation Center. The team's splitting the opening two sets. Toronto taking the latest 25-17, besting the Gaels, who won the opening set 25-18, leading the way attacking for Queens. As we've discussed at the end of the set, Julia Vert and Danielle Corrigan having a strong game so far, as is Saffron Van Der Linde attacking 7 total attacks, 1 attacking error on 5 kills. Vert with 11 kills, 21 total attacks and a 476 attack percentage, and Danielle Corrigan 5 for 9 with no errors and a 556. So a strong couple of sets for the Gaels, number 8 and 11 respectively, as Dorman just goes out the back. Alina Dorman leading the way in terms of total attacks for the Varsity Blues with 20, and now a 3rd attacking error for her. Attacking percentage leading the way is Kaylee Cruikshank with a 400. And splitting the assist duties between Kanturk and Goodwin, as Verchagro continues her strong evening with a heavy swing on the left side. The Gaels able to be under composure here, a strong server at the line. Ariel Palermo makes it really difficult on opposing teams, and there's an example why, as she catches her Sazalu moving from right to left. Really tough to pass when you're on the go, especially with a hard float serve like the one from Palermo. As Palermo continues, and this time just a little bit too heavy, goes out the back, so a serving error that time from Palermo after giving up converting on the ace, the serve right before. Tia Cook will drop into communication. Zanutel anchors the middle between Verchagro and Palermo on serve receive. As Lisht will go back to the service line here for Toronto. And they go at Verchagro. Kolpitz to the right side. Van Der Linde straight down the line. Saffron Van Der Linde continues her strong attack from the net. And it's 4-1 here early on in the 3rd set. Van Der Linde back to serve. Go at Cruikshank. And the touch goes into the middle. Thought maybe there was contact at the net, but communication not there as it goes off the arms and out of play. And Toronto gets one right back. It's 4-2. With Dorman back to serve. Right over top is Zanutel able to pick it up, push to the outside to Verchagro, but an attacking error from Julia Verchagro as it goes down the line, but a little bit too wide of the court. So 4-3 the score here early on. Back-to-back points now for the Varsity Blues. Their spinner from Dorman. It's handled by Palermo. Push to the far side, goes off of Verchagro on the block. Unable to scramble to get to it in time is Zanutel. And Toronto's even things up here. So a service run from Palermo now coming back the other way from Alina Dorman. And a deep serve comes at Zanutel again. Kolpitz with a dump, but it's read nicely by Dorman. They come back to reset on the outside. Good dig up by Zanutel. Now Corrigan rolls over top of the block. Good find from Danielle Corrigan. Takes a bit off the pace and rolls it into the pot. And Queens is up 5-4. Corrigan continuing a strong evening, attacking the ball. Standing float from Colpitz. Come inside, see ball to Dorman. Picked up nicely, Colpitz just going to throw it over to the far side, off the block and out of play. On the swing from Julia Vertigro. The team's trading points here early on. 6-4 the lead now in favor of Queens. Colpitz goes at Cruikshank on the serve. Goodwin pushed to the outside, blocked there by Corrigan and Tia Cook. And the lead is now 7-4. See if Toronto changes up their serve receive. They'll keep Dorman deep in position 1, ready for the C-ball attack. They run inside instead as they get Jenna Wook involved, back with the middle set. And now hoping for a service run will be Hope Coton. Standing floats, a deep ball well out the back. A couple of floor lengths out the back there from Coton, a little heavy on the serve. And the serve coming from Vertigo. Goodwin sets the C-ball to Dorman, out the back again. No contact made on the block or defense. As they try to get Alina Dorman involved from the back court. But a few more points to add on for Vertigo and the Gaels. As Courier picks up the ball, sets inside and responding out of the middle once again. Unable to get a touch off after the block there from Corrigan. 9-6 the lead now as Wook goes back to serve. Jumping float serve from her, and it's well out the back the other way. So service error is the story early on the third set for Toronto. As Corrigan goes back to serve here for Queens. 10-6 is the lead for the Gaels. Jumping float serve. Goes at Cruikshank. They go right back to Cruikshank, and she swings through, unable to get the ball up as Corrigan. And back to serve will be Haley Goodwin. Jumping float serve is long, but it stays in the court. Tipped over top. Good adjustment there by Dorman. Set goes straight up. Cruikshank rolls, goes cross court. Colpitz pushes straight up for Palermo. And another attacking error from Ariel Palermo. And it's a 10-8 lead now for the Gaels. Continue to set Palermo as she's proven time and time again to be such a dangerous threat on that left side, but she's had a couple of attacking errors here in this match so far. Set into the middle this time to Van Der Linde, who's been very strong here so far for Queens. And the lead back to 3, and Tia Cook will serve now for the Gaels. Jumping float from Tia Cook, short into the net. And they give a point right back to Toronto. Go serve with Kaylee Cruikshank. Going to be a substitution incoming as Natasha Lewis will come in. Float serve goes at Vertigro. Colpitz to the outside to Palermo. Great dig up by Courier. Second ball, forearms a little clumsy, but Toronto just has to keep it alive and send it back over. In tight to Palermo, push over the top. Courier takes second ball with forearms. Swing from Lewis off the top of the block and out of play. Great rally by the Varsity Blues, led by their libero. Excellent job by Sophia Courier. Deep float serve is going to stay in as Vertigo plays it up at the last second. Push to the outside to Palermo, cuts down the line. Alina Dorman takes second hand, sets the pipe to Wook. Kolpitz gets pushed over, again to Palermo, roll over the top of the again. Once again, they'll recycle. Courier goes straight up to Dorman, off the top of the block. Tia Cook handles, then to Kolpitz, now Palermo out the back. No touch called on the block, and it's now a 1-point deficit for Toronto. Now, actually, it's tied at 11. Late switch on the board. So Toronto's clawed all the way back now and have tied this match, or this set, up at 11 points apiece. Float serve into the pot. Set up to Van Der Linde. They'll recycle, easily read there by Lisht. Outside to Lewis, goes cross court. Kolpitz sets the C ball to Cook off the top of the block and recycle again. Sets outside to Dorman, puts it away down the corner. So we'll see a timeout likely coming now from the Gaels, and they will as Ratushniak calls the timeout. 12-11 is the lead now in favor of Toronto. A great response by the Varsity Blues. Gaels put themselves up early in the third set, but Toronto's clawed all the way back. Still plenty of time left, though, for the Gaels to regain their early set form. Talk things over a little bit and allow this run from Toronto to settle down a bit. And next up, so next weekend the Gaels will be back home as they will host the York Lions and Nipissing Lakers, and will be home the following weekend as well as they take on Waterloo and Guelph. So the Gaels men's and women's team both on the road early on in the first half of the season and have a 3-week home stretch, including this weekend, next weekend, and the one following. So we'll be looking to treat the home fans to some victories down the stretch. They will finish their season off on the road against the Ryerson Rams in Toronto and look to make amends for last night's loss. As Kolpitz sets to the outside. Just going to be pushed there by Van Der Linde. Ball still tight to the tape. Palermo settles it down. And they go to Van Der Linde on the cross-court attack and unable to turn her platform internally was Goodwin. Takes a hop off the edge of her arms there and out of play. You see Drakic perhaps arguing a bit of a delay here. She's talking to the downside official, Andy Cameron. Thought maybe they were looking for a double on the set on the last time through by, they touched off the block there by Cook. Did take a dip and went out of play though. So it looks like Drakic still a little bit upset with the down official here. Again, going back a couple points ago when it looked as though Lauren Kolpitz may have been called for a double. And a deep serve goes out the back this time. And he'll be happy to take the free point after a couple of tough breaks for them. Anna Lish to go back to serve here for Toronto. 13-13 is the score midway through the third set. Jumping float serve. Zanutel handles with ease. Kolpitz to the right side. Van Der Linde goes cross. Lisht just going to roll back to Lewis. Able to pick it up easily, this Palermo. Push far side to Vertigo. Comes cross court. Picked up nicely on the dig there, and a big swing out of the middle. Zanutel gets a shoulder on it. Just going to be sent over on the free ball. See what they do this time through. Dorman off the top of the block, and the point one by Toronto. Great defense by the Gaels as Zanutel just getting a shoulder on the ball to keep it alive. As we approach the third set, technical timeout. 14-13 the lead now for the visitors. Jumping float serve. Handled it off easily. They'll set a quick back to Van Der Linde. And a cross attack picked up by Zanutel. Just going to be thrown over by Vertigro. Goodwin outside to Dorman. Great touch on the ball. Just scrambled to get it over there on third ball is Vertigro. Goodwin, right side. Dorman off the block again. And when in doubt, they've been setting Alina Dorman, who's starting to heat up now. Could be tough news for the Gaels as Alina Dorman starting to win some points with much more efficiency at the net for Toronto. As Lish continues to serve, Zanutel with a great pass up. Push outside, Vertigro with the attacking error, no touch on the block. And that takes us to the third set technical timeout. Toronto leading Queens 16-13. Join us back after this short break for the rest of this set.
Hannaford loses left shot, scores!
where exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
Toronto leading 16-13 out of the technical timeout. Lish continuing the service run for the Varsity Blues. Sanutel mishandles on first ball. Palermo to the outside to Vert. Off the block, gets set back into the open floor. Push on the step around to Van Der Linde, who continues her strong night. Saffron Van Der Linde finds a seam in the block. The Gaels are within 2. Jumping float serve from Van Der Linde. Having to scramble there is Goodwin just to get the ball over. Easy ball attack now coming on the step from Corrigan. Works once again. As Kolpitz has done a great job finding Corrigan on that step. It's a different height in terms of the set coming across and the attacker on the move. A lot of consistency and a lot of reps, it looks like, between Corrigan and Kolpitz to run that step around, but service run ends prematurely there from Saffron Van Der Linde as it goes into the net. And Dorman will go back to the service line. Short off the tape, able to scramble there is Kolpitz. Out of system, right into the block. Wook carrying most of the heavy lifting on that block, but able to close is Goodwin. And late in the set here, we might see another timeout. I believe there's a second one left. There is a second timeout remaining for either side. Lauren Kolpitz will go back to serve, so 3 attackers in the front court now, including Corrigan, Verchegro, and Tia Cook. Easy pickup though from Cruikshank, run into the middle by Jenna Wook. He just overpowers the block set up by Queens. And it's 19-16 on the 4th point of the game for Wook. Lewis with a deep serve goes out the back. So Lewis has come in and replaced Coton. Roll shot into the corner, picked up by Siofis. Both Verchegro and Palermo go after it, and Palermo able to stay on top of it and still attack the ball. Push to the outside, off the top of the block. Calling for it is Cook, but getting called on the double is Siofis. Tough break there for Alex Siofis, who's in a good position to run second hands, but just comes off a little sloppy and called on the double touch. 20-17, the lead now for Toronto. Jumping float, short into the net, and a free point given to the Gaels. Van Der Linde back onto the floor, and Danielle Corrigan to the service line here for Queens. Jumping float here from Danielle Corrigan. Goes right at the spot in 6 at Lewis, and the attacking error this time from Dorman. A little bit too heavy on the attack, goes well out the back. Not enough spin on the ball. Substitution and back in will be Coton as she'll replace Lewis. And drops right in front of Cruikshank. 20 points apiece now. And a timeout taken by the Varsity Blues. So the sub was from Cotton to come back onto the floor. And she replaced Natasha Lewis. And again, 20 points apiece now heading into the late stages of this third set. It's been a back and forth affair. Teams separated by just a single point in terms of plus minus. Toronto with a +1 at the moment. See the coaching staff discussing things in the Queens timeout. Trying to push here late in the third set to take the 2-1 lead. And they'll continue to serve with Danielle Corrigan. Dorman dropping back in again to communicate ins and outs. And 3 across in serve receive. Float serve coming, and it's short this time into the net from Corrigan, as though she was trying to come cross court. Courier back onto the floor for defensive libero duties for the Varsity Blues. As Goodwin goes back to serve here for the Varsity Blues. Deep serve in, passed up by Vert. Colpitz to the outside to Palermo, finds the back corner. Great swing by Ariel Palermo, ties this back up at 21. And Siofis will come in and replace Zanyutel. With Tia Cook to serve. Jumping float her, goes into the corner. It's tight end to Goodwin. Tipped over the top by Lish, and they'll try to reset. Ball is tight. And they're going to say no touch on the net, and they will, actually. So a late call there. As they say, Palermo may have made contact with the net on her way up. So the point is going to go to Toronto, who's now realizing that they had earned the point. And Kaylee Cruikshank will go back to serve here. Try to create a bit more separation. An inch closer to the set victory. Deep serve. Vertigo picks it up. Colpitz able to get to it, and good adjustment with a forearm set. And the push over the top by Palermo. Fools the block, who wasn't up to press yet. And we're tied at 22 with Palermo to the service line. Likely go at position 6 here in the serve. Try to split between Cruikshank and Sazalu. And that's where they go, and pushed over on third ball. Easy return now for Queens. Set on the step to Saffron Van Der Linde. Is there touch at the net? No. Thought maybe a block had gotten a piece of it, but the cross-court attack goes out of bounds, and no appeal from Ratushniak or the rest of the Gaels, so must have gone out cleanly, and the lead is back to 1 for Toronto. Lisht, jumping float, goes cross-court. Vertigo mishandles. Unable to get to it is Palermo. We'll likely see the timeout coming now from Ratushniak, and we will, as they'll try to settle down the serve here from Anna Lisht. It's had a great run from the line so far in this game. And they've got 1 point to push now. But if the Gaels can side out one and try to force extra points. So it's been a strong effort here tonight for Queens. They've gone toe-to-toe with the number 4 ranked Varsity Blues. Got a handful of upperclassmen on their team, including Lewis, Dorman, Cruikshank, Sophia Courier, Brianna Patrick, Asla Sazalu, and Anna Lisht, all in their 4th and 5th year, and then a handful in their 1st and 2nd. So see if the Gaels can side out here. Trailing 24-22 with Lisht to serve. Jumping float from her, it's clean. They go off the hands and set to the right side. Van Der Linde finds the seam of the block again, as the Gaels stave off the set loss for now, as Van Der Linde back to serve, trying to force extra points here. Trying to maintain composure from the service line. It's been a great game for Van Der Linde. And finds it inside and off the tape, and the points earned for Queens. So we've now gotten to extra points, and Christine Drakic will now call a timeout. So a great job by the Gaels to regroup out of the timeout and force Toronto to talk things over. The teams have traded points late in the set, so a lot of character shown by the Gaels to come out of the timeout trailing 24-22 and earn back-to-back points One off the attack from Van Der Linde and then one off a service error from the Varsity Blues. Has us at 24 points apiece, and this set will be pushed to at least 26 for one of these two sides. And will be wrapped up by the maximum or minimum requirement of 2 points. Jumping float from Van Der Linde. And it eats them up again on serve receive. Cruikshank taking responsibility for that one as her and her Sazalu were both going for it. It'll be a huge break here as Van Der Linde continues to put the Gaels on her back here late in the third set. A couple of great serves and a big attack to keep the Gaels alive. Deep ball this time as Cruikshank handles it nicely. Outside to Dorman off the block. They'll try to recycle. Sazalu has to get over and take second ball. Swing off the block again. Comes in tight to the tape. Joust is won but recycled. Push to the right side. Dorman just a tip over the top. Chance for the Gaels to win the set. Set to the outside. Vertigro. It's up to Cruikshank. They take second ball as their Sazalu goes over top to Dorman. Free ball once again. Third chance. Corrigan on the step. This time it's picked up by Cruikshank. The set one picked up by Palermo. Excellent job defensively by Ariel Palermo. Third opportunity for Dorman. Off the block again. Covered up by Colpitz. And just sent over on the free ball. Easy push back by Dorman. So tough break there for Queens after such a strong rotation. Toronto going to make a change here as Dorman going to come off the floor. Maybe they're worried a little bit of her inconsistency on her serve, so they're going to bring in Mia Workman. She's got a hard float serve. Workman gets it into service C. Vertigro off the block, able to pick up by Workman. Set goes inside, roll off the block, they'll reset to Courier. Pushed up to Cruikshank, rolled into the block, goes cross court at Zanitel. Colpitz outside, Vertigro down the line. Great swing, Julia Vertigro goes off the block. And the Gaels with a chance to win the set once again, and then will be serving. Substitution is Dorman going to come right back in and leave the option for a C-ball for Christine Drakic in the offense. But it's 26-25 now for Queens. With Colpitz serving and three attackers, Colpitz serves into the net. Tough break there for the Gaels setter. Zanitel will come in and replace Theophis. 26 points apiece now. Hope Cotton serving now for Toronto. Deep serve. Palermo handles that one cleanly. Push inside to Corrigan, who eats up the block in the middle, set by Jenna Wook. And another set point opportunity now for Queens with Julia Vertigro back to serve. She's got a pretty strong float serve that's tough for defenders to handle. Wouldn't be surprised she finishes this one off with an ace. Deep ball by Vertigro. It's handled nicely though out of the backcourt. Push across, block is reset. Courier gets to it, just gonna be sent over on the free ball. Chance now for Queens. Vertigro in tight, tipped over by Corrigan. Picked up by Dorman. Now left side, Cruikshank. Comes cross court, it's a chance. Set to Palermo, tipped over the top. Read nicely by the defense. Sets inside, tipped this time, but can they reset? Colpitz just sets it up. Tipped over, who's called on the net? Point goes to Queens. Toronto called on the net and the Gaels take the third set, 28-26. Great battle back and forth. Tough to see the set come to an end with a net error, but a great resilience by the Gaels to stay with it. They take the third set, 28-26. Join us back for the fourth. You're watching Gaels and Varsity Blues on OUA TV.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid.
All right, Bernsey, how cold do you think that water is?
It doesn't matter, Connor. That target's way too small for you.
Whatever, you're going in here. Enjoy your swim, Bernsey.
Connor.
I told you.
I got you a little winning prize there. Hope you keep us company at night.
Thanks.
Let's do this again one day.
Thanks. Looks just like you.
When kids in need are given the chance to play sports, what you're really equipping us for is life. Support the future of your community. Support Jumpstart. Because we all play for Canada.
Hannaford, loose left shot scores! I said a couple of minutes ago, stuff yourself in. Well, how about these last 37 and a half seconds?
Where exceptional student athletes are born. Where records are broken. Where great plays are made. Where school colors ignite passion. Where champions prevail. Where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
And welcome back to the Athletics and Recreation Center, getting set for the fourth set between the Gaels and Varsity Blues. Gaels winning a third set thriller, 28-26. Well distributed through the offense so far for Queens. Able to get everybody involved, and been a tough, relatively tough night attacking for Ariel Palermo with just 8 kills and 8 attacking errors on 31 total kills, but Saffron Van Der Linde, Danielle Corrigan, and Julia Vert having a great game offensively, and Palermo doing her thing from the service line and on defense. We'll look to get involved in the offense in this set, but a great attack from Vert with so much pace behind the ball. Continues a strong evening for her. 9th point attacking for Vert, as Van Der Linde will continue to serve here for the Gaels. Jumping float. Goes in tight. Set into the middle. Good response, though, by Anna Lisht. Gets set inside, and they'll bring Wook off the bench and have Ursazalu take a seat. Lisht will go to serve. Deep ball, it's going to go out the back. Good communication there by Tia Cook. Communicating the back line as Siofis will come in for defensive libero responsibilities. And they'll get the serve in now to Lauren Kolpitz. Deep ball from Kolpitz. Set to the right side and just out the, oh, they're going to call it in. It's a good look by the line judge, Sue Lechnois, calling the ball right at the back loin. And it's 2-2 now with Dorman back to serve. Takes a bit of a spin on the top. It goes straight up to Cook, who swings hard at the ball, but good pick up there by Courier. Comes straight over the top. It'll go into the corner to Palermo. Set comes in tight. Good fix by Kolpitz, straight down. On the swing from Corrigan as Lauren Kolpitz comes in tight to the net. Great control to stay off the net and still get a clean set up. And it's now 3-2 for Queens. Vert go with a deep ball. It's going to go out the back. And the team's trading points here early on, 3 points apiece. And a jump float upcoming. They go at Vert. Set to the left side, recycled there on the swing from Palermo. And they'll just fire it back over. Try to get a set inside, good push to the left side, tipped over the top. Unable to get there in time was Colpitz. A good read on the tip on the far side by Cruikshank. Cotton back to serve. Float serve is short, goes into the net. And now Saffron Van Der Linde back off the bench, and Corrigan back to serve. Danielle Corrigan, jumping float serve off the top of the tape. Set to the C ball, the Dorman goes cross court, good pickup by Colpitz. Forearm set and a missed touch there from Palermo. He's had success going down the line on that misdirection play, but mishandles that one. As Wook will go back to the service line here for Toronto. Jumping float serve from her. They go at Ariel Palermo. Colpitz, little inside set to Van Der Linde, but it's easily read there by Toronto. Set goes straight up. Cross-court attack goes out of bounds as Cruikshank can't find hands on the swing. As the Gaels even the setup, this time at 5 points apiece. Tia Cook back to serve for the Gaels. Tip over the top, and it drops in. Good read that time by Goodwin. Catching the Gaels' defense, anticipating an attack, and just deflects it to the pot. Goodwin will go back to serve. Toronto with the lead. And a service error this time from the Varsity Blues. As Palermo will go back to serve here for Queens. Jumping float serve from Palermo. So an overpass from Goodwin. It's unable to do much with it coming off the net. A little bit too much pace trying to save the ball. So we'll give Palermo the ace for that one. As Queens looks to continue to push here and create some separation early on in the set. Jumping float goes at Sazalu. Able to adjust, tip over the top. It'll be recycled. Palermo, forearm set on second ball. Come cross court to Vert. Set goes outside. Dorman comes across. Good pickup though by Siofis. Set inside. Van Der Linde tips it over. Push outside as Dorman able to use that left-hand approach to take a bit more of a tighter angle on the left side attacks. Would have been tight for any right side or right-handed swinger. But we're tied at 7. Cruikshank. Serve off. Set to the outside. Vert takes a bit off. Able to angle around the block. And the Gaels and Blues continuing to trade points. Queens on top of this one, now double digits in points now for Vert. Floater from Van Der Linde. Goes off arms and going to be a scramble just to get it over now from Sazalu. Palermo has to react late. On the step again to Corrigan, but it's picked up nicely. Sazalu takes second ball in tight from Dorman this time. Finds the open spot. And again, the back and forth continues early on here. As Lish to go back to serve now for Toronto. Tia Cook back communicating. And set up in the middle will be Palermo. Passed up by Vert. Set outside to Vert off the block into the net. As you see Cotton going through the motions of how she should have played that one differently. As the Gaels are back up by a point, leading 9-8. Standing float from Colpitz. Set goes inside. It's off the arms of Palermo. As Siofis keeps it in tight. And touch called on the attack. It goes straight down the line by Tia Cook. Thought maybe the Gaels are going to be, or excuse me, the Varsity Blues are going to be called on the net. But nonetheless, Danielle Corrigan reaching her 11th point of the match. As Kolpitz continues to serve. Set to the right side, Dorman straight across. Kolpitz gets a touch. Corrigan unable to react in time to keep it up. And it's now 10-9 for Queens. And Dorman will go back to the service line. Spinner coming from Alina Dorman. Good pickup though by the Gaels on serve receive. Vert goes in. No touch on the attack. They're actually going to call a double, so I don't think they thought maybe there was a touch on the block. Toronto coaching staff didn't tend to agree. 10-10 the score now with Dorman continuing to serve. Go at Vertigo. Kolpitz set inside to Corrigan. Read all the way by Jenna Wook. Now you see Ratushniak talking to his defense, needing a better ball up on serve receive as Kolpitz and Corrigan were a little handcuffed after first ball. Off the tape, picked up by Zanitel. Kolpitz outside, roll up by Cook. Set to the outside on the C ball to Dorman, off the arms of Palermo and out of bounds. And a run by the Varsity Blues will force Ratushniak to take a timeout, as Queens will try to talk things over and regain some momentum here midway through the set. Queens leading 2-1 against the Varsity Blues. Again, have come in as the 4th ranked team in the country. And just a single loss on the season. But have their work cut out for them here. They are midway through the set, leading by just 2 points. And what has been a momentum shifting service run here for the Varsity Blues. But the Gaels will look to side out and close the gap and get back to where they were just a few moments ago with a lead in a potential match clinching set. Gaels men's team will be in action shortly after the conclusion of this game, as they are also taking on the Toronto Varsity Blues, what should be a really exciting match between two of the best teams in the country. And Palermo lets that one drop between her and Zanitel, as Zanitel pinched up a little bit. 13-10 the lead now, as they're likely to continue exploiting that seam on the far side. This time they go at Palermo, moving to her left. Set to the right side, Vertigo off the top of the block, and a double going to be called on the touch there by Goodwin. 13-11 the score now as Vertigo back to serve and Palermo into the front court. Straight down the line on the serve. They'll go to the outside as Cotton gets the swing through the block. And now we'll come back into serve. So 14-11 the lead now for the Varsity Blues. Deep ball. Zanitel picks it up on serve receive to the outside to Palermo. That's a way for Ariel Palermo to regain some confidence at the net. Such a hard swing, goes cross court. Crookshank unable to pick it up. As Corrigan will go back to serve now for Queens. Great serve by Danielle Corrigan. They set the C ball, tipped over the top, in coverage, able to pick it up there is Corrigan. And now they'll try to reset. Push into the middle, great up by Corrigan again. Set to the left side, Corrigan smiling, and that drops in for a point for Queens. Great job defensively by Danielle Corrigan. It could be a momentum shifter here in the fourth set. So the Gaels will look to push and close to the tech timeout in a few points here. As Corrigan will go back to serve again. Deep ball from her. Goes at her Sazalu. Just going to be a C-ball attack from Dorman. They'll regroup to Palermo. Kolpitz in the middle of the floor. Good push to the outside. Cook Comes back off the block and into the antenna. Tough break there for Tia Cook. It's a great swing and finding hands, and likely would have gone out of play had she not come back and clipped her on the way through. So 15-13 will be a serving substitution upcoming now for Toronto. Milosevic into the game now for the Varsity Blues. Trying to push now to the tech timeout with a 3-point edge. Floater from Milosevic. Vert got a good clean pickup. Push to the outside to Palermo. Starting to heat up. Ariel Palermo with another hard attack from the left side. Puts the Gaels back within one with Cook to try to serve the Gaels back to even terms here. Tia Cook with a deep ball. Out of system, they're just going to allow a Dorman to roll it over. Calling for the C back the other way, but they go to Palermo instead. This time they're going to call the touch, and they will. The downside line judge makes the call on contact, and it's 15 apiece. And next point will be the tech timeout. Whichever way it falls will be a huge swing back the other way if the Gaels can get there. Great serve, but they go right at Cotton on the outside and swing into the hands there from Wook. Gets us to the tech timeout. Toronto leads Queens 16-15. Join us back for the conclusion of the fourth set. You're watching Gaels and Varsity Blues on OUA TV.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid.
All right, Bernsey, how cold do you think that water is?
It doesn't matter, Connor. That target's way too small for you.
Whatever, you're going in here. Enjoy your swim, Bernsey.
Connor.
I told you.
I got you a little winning prize there. Hope you keep it company at night.
Thanks.
Let's do this again one day.
Thanks. Looks just like you.
When kids in need are given the chance to play sports.
Varsity Blues with a 1-point lead coming out of the tech timeout. On the step around to Van Der Linde. Gets across. Able to keep it alive for the time being, but unable to convert it back as Crookshank. So again, the step continuing to work well for the Gaels here tonight. And they'll go back to Ariel Palermo to the service line. We look to make a push here for Queens. And definitely the right server to do so here for the Gaels. Great serve by Palermo, comes in tight to the net. Crookshank able to make an adjustment. Good pickup though by Palermo. Just going to be tossed over by Siofis. Comes in tight, push to the outside. Dorman tips over the top. Good pickup by Siofis. Can't react in time though as Colpitz and drops to the open floor. It's a good run by the Gaels, but the point does go to Toronto. We're back up by a single. 17-16. Sanutel picks it up. Colpitz sets to Van Der Linde. Down the line and out of play. Great swing by Saffron Van Der Linde. Ties this back up at 17. And they got Vert and Corrigan in the front court. Two of the more effective hitters for the Gaels here tonight. Deep ball by Van Der Linde. Set to the outside to Dorman off the top of the block. Palermo able to pick up the dig. Set to the left side. Vert, great dig up by Ursazalu on the other side. Roll over the top from Cotton off the top of the block. Get out of play. Another point earned by Toronto. Excellent job by the Toronto libero Ursazalu. And Lish back to serve. Easy picked up there by Palermo. Comes in tight to the tape and the step to Corrigan off the block. Comes in tight to the tape. Good fix inside there by The set from Haley Goodwin. Just a little flick up into the middle to Wook. But I think she was called on the net, so the point will go to Queens, so it's 18 points apiece now. Set to the outside, off the top of the block, it's picked up. Set to the left side, Verchegro finds the open floor. And Queens takes the 19-18 lead. Gaels still with both of their timeouts, Toronto just with one. Shea Baker is going to come in to serve now for Queens. And off the tape and bounces back. Tough break there for Baker. It's a tough ask sometimes as Baker will come right back off for Colpitts, but tough ask to get a cold server to come in a critical juncture and try to make a difference. Tied at 19 as Dorman will go back to serve now for Toronto. High arcing ball on the spinner that time from Dorman. Goes to Verchegro, who can't make the angle and swings into the tape. And the lead is now back to 1 for Toronto. It's 20-19. Spinner upcoming again from Dorman. Bit more pace to it this time, and it finds the back line. Great serve by Dorman. And now we'll get a timeout likely coming from Ratushniak, and we do. 21-19 is the lead in favor of the Varsity Blues, who are looking to force a fifth and deciding set between these two sides. So it's been a back and forth affair to say the least here. Queens winning the opening set 25-18. Toronto responding with a second set victory 25-17. And then a 28-26 victory for the Gaels in the third. And now late in the fourth, it's 21-19. So Dorman will continue to serve here for Toronto. Another spinner. Goes over the tape and fools Zanyatell. The ball drops in as Zanyatell was a little deep on serve receive. The ball drops into the open pot. 22-19 now. Great pickup that time by Palermo. Set inside to Corrigan. Chasing after it is Courier after the dig from Alina Dorman. And it's 22-20. Verchegro to serve. Float serve from Verchegro. Packed up from Lewis, and she'll get the set on the left side. Good handle by Siofis. They come in tight to Palermo, rolls over the top. Versazalu able to get there. C-ball to Dorman, cross court. Great pickup by Colpitts. Siofis off the block. Good swing by Cook, and they're still going, and it drops in. Lengthy rally put to an end. 23-20 the lead now. Hale still with one timeout. We'll see. 23-20. Float serve incoming. Set to the outside to Palermo, off the block and to the open floor. Brings up set point. And we'll get a timeout likely here from the Gaels. We will not. Maybe they don't have one left. Basket set up. Flicked up top to Palermo, off the tape and out. And the Varsity Blues take the fourth set, 25-20. This one is going to go to a fifth and deciding set. Join us back for that final set upcoming after this. You're watching Varsity Blues and Gaels Women's Volleyball live on OUA TV.
Hannaford, loses left shot, scores! I said a couple of minutes ago, struck himself in.
exceptional student athletes are born, where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
Hi, Sid. Bye, Sid.
All right, Bernsey, how cold do you think that water is?
It doesn't matter, Connor. That target's way too small for you.
Whatever, you're going in here. Enjoy your swim, Bernsey.
Connor.
I told you.
I got you a little winning prize there. Hope you keep us company at night.
Thanks.
Let's do this again one day.
Thanks. Looks just like you.
When kids in need are given the chance to play sports, what you're really equipping us for is life. Support the future of your community. Support Jumpstart. Because we all play for Canada.
And welcome back to the Athletics and Recreation Center. 2 sets apiece heading into the 5th and deciding set between the Toronto Varsity Blues and the Queens Gaels. Teams trading sets as well. Gaels winning the first and third, Toronto winning the second and fourth. The latest coming at a 25-20 mark in favor of the Varsity Blues, and they will start with serve. And leading the way for the Gaels attacking Danielle Corrigan, 9 total kills on 19 attacks. And just a single attacking error. Vert with 19 kills and a 256 attacking. And Saffron Van Der Linde, 2 errors, but 14 kills on 25 and a 480 attacking percentage for Saffron Van Der Linde here tonight. Kolpitz, he's got 51 assists through 4 sets so far for Queens. Sets to the far side, they'll recycle. Kolpitz sets left side, off the block and down. Alina Dorman leading the way for the block. She is joined by Anna Lisht. And the opening point of the 5th set goes to Toronto. Jumping float serve goes at Zanyatel, having to scramble to get to it as Verchigro. Just going to be sent over there by Cook. Set to the right side. Dorman off the block. Able to get to it. A last second touch there by Palermo, but it drops in, and it's 2 straight to start the set here for the Varsity Blues. Another jumping float serve. And it's a scramble on serve receive. Gaels need to work themselves out of this rotation here in a hurry. Giving up 3 straight points to start the set. And as I'm sure most of you are aware, the 5th set does only go to 15. Deep float serve this time goes out the back and a free point to the Gaels. They're able to side out on the service error. And Van Der Linde will be up first. Serve comes in tight. Set to the outside. Push over the top from Dorman. Finds the open spot. And Cruikshank will go back to serve for Toronto, who lead 4-1. Jumping float serve from Cruikshank. Goes off arms and having to scramble just to get to it. And an attack from the back from Palermo. Swings out of the pipe and into the net. That's going to be a timeout called now for the Gaels. Try to talk things over here. In the early part of the fifth set, they trail 5-1 as the teams try to push to the 8-point set turnaround. And we mentioned the evening that Saffron Van Der Linde is having. She is the Gaels profile this week. And the Gaels picked up a big win over Western last weekend as Van Der Linde played a major role defensively with 4 solo and 4 assisted blocks, She followed that performance up with 5 assisted blocks the following night and finished the weekend with 21.5 points. And has had a great couple of games here this weekend. But looking for a little bit more and to be rewarded with the weekend split here. They find themselves in a 4-point deficit early on in the fifth set. Jumping float from Cruikshank. Palermo gets to it. Colpitz on the step. Sets inside as Corrigan gets the attack through, and a couple of efforts to try to get the ball off the net from Toronto goes awry. As Colpitz will go back to serve now for the Gaels. Deep serve from her. Versazalu plays it up. Set to the right side. Dorman straight down, picked up by Seofis. Colpitz, good set to the inside. Vertigo goes cross corner. Sazalu picks it up on the dig. Roll shot out of the backcourt. Opportunity now for Queens to take advantage. Swing from Tia Cook. Excellent dig by Toronto. Keeping this thing alive. Set to the right side again. Off the block this time. It drops in. Great persistence by the Gaels. Back-to-back points now, and they're within 2. It is 5-3. Colpitz continuing to serve. Deep ball again. Sazalu picks it up. Set to the outside. Swing off the top of the block. Vertigo gets to it. Colpitz, right side set to Cook. Straight down. Tia Cook. They're going to switch liberos and pull out Sazalu. And allow Courier to come in. 5-4 the lead now. After 3 straight points out of the timeout for the Gaels. Deep ball. Good serve up by Courier. Set to the right side. Dorman off the top of the block. Palermo gets to it. Set to the left side. Vertigo into the block. Picked up by Palermo. Able to get underneath and try to play it back as Vertigo, but unable to convert, and it's now 6-4 for Toronto. Anna Licht back to serve. Passed up by Palermo. Set to the inside to Corrigan. They'll try to recycle. Palermo gets to it. Just going to be sent over now by Cook. Great find by Tia Cook. Able to square her shoulders and come straight down the line. Vacated defensively there in position 1 were the Varsity Blues. And it's 6-5 now for Toronto. Set goes straight up to Dorman. Vertigo digs that one up. Sets to the right side. Pushed over the top there by Cook. Set outside. Hard swing. Excellent dig by Seofis. Push to the left side by Palermo. As she pushes into the antenna. And it's 7-5, 1 point until the fifth set turnarounds here. And Alina Dorman back to serve. And it's short. So a free point given off the service error from Dorman, and at the worst case scenario now forcing Dorman into just attacking C-balls. Just as effective sometimes for Dorman, but at least the Gaels don't have to worry about her presence at the net, attacking and blocking as we approach the midway point of the set. Great serve by Corrigan. It's going to be a free ball overcoming now. It's a deep ball. Corrigan pushes up. Set to the left side. Palermo into the block this time, out of bounds. And it's tied at 7. With the next point leading to our 5th set turnaround. Still one timeout left for the Gaels and both for Toronto. And a short serve this time from Corrigan will get us to that 5th set turnaround. Toronto leading Queens 8-7. So these two teams have been separated by very few all evening. And it'll go down to the wire. A 5th set turnaround by just a single point. And Toronto will continue with service. So 8-7 is the lead in favor of the Varsity Blues. Gaels have been digging out of their holes all night long. Jumping float is a deep ball, but it's handled by Zanytel, but goes far side to Palermo. Forearm push back the other way off the block. Tia Cook swings and comes back and makes contact again. 2-point lead restored. I think the Gaels will wait, see how the next few points unfold before perhaps making another timeout call and settling things down. Float serve handled up by Vert. Set inside, Van Der Linde with a swing, but it's picked up. To be sent over on the free ball by Dorman. Opportunity now. Vert first ball. Set ball set inside. Great cut by Saffron Van Der Linde. So Van Der Linde opens up. Great swing in the middle and makes a cut right to the tee. And it's 9-8 now for Toronto. With Tia Cook back to serve. Mishandled a little bit. Just going to be sent over on the free ball again. Not a great first touch, but able to get across his Colpit. Swing by Palermo, it's blocked again. And the Varsity Blues have done an excellent job defending Ariel Palermo tonight. Forcing the Gaels to go other places for their attack. 10-8 the lead for the Varsity Blues. Hard float serve, passed up by Vert. They go to Palermo on the left side again. Ariel Palermo. Not going to miss that one. Great swing by Palermo. They make a substitution again. And Palermo will go back in to serve. Again, we said this time and time again. Palermo the best server on the Gaels. And will look to take advantage of her service now. Late in this 5th set. First one's good. Push to the outside, able to get a swing down, and it's picked up by Palermo. Push to the outside. Verchagro down the line. Is it in? It is. Great cut by Julia Verchagro, finding the open seam. And we're tied at 10, and Drakic will call a timeout. And this back and forth match continues. 10-10 midway through the 5th set. And Palermo on the service line for the Gaels. Again, is aggressive in the attack on her serve and can make things very difficult. See assistant coach Natasha Spalling talking things over. Another hard serve coming in from, and then try to go for the dump inside, met by a block by Verchagro. Excellent read by Julia Verchagro as Palermo's hard serve leads to a tight ball on the set coming from Goodwin. And another overpass. Here's an opportunity for the Gaels to go right back to it. Verchigro down the line again. Julia Verchigro. And we'll get a substitution now as Goodwin's going to come out. As we'll make a double change. As Dorman's going to come off. And they're going to put Mia Workman back in. And it's now 12-10 in favor of the Gaels, who are knocking on the door of a potential upset over the 4th-ranked team in the country. Another deep serve. Goes off arms, and it's going to be another free ball coming back in. Stays in play, but an easy pickup there for the Queens. Push on the step. Van Der Linde goes cross court. Going to drop. And it'll be another timeout coming from Drakic. 13-10 the lead for Queens. And the Gaels are going to be in a position here to try to push and close out the match in an entertaining 5th set. And perhaps send the hometown fans at least to a break happy. Again, 13-10 is the lead now. It was 8-7. So a 6-2 run midway through this 5th set has put the Gaels in position now to force adjustments from Toronto, and they've done so. They've had to bring in Mia Workman, and they brought back in Lydia Kanturk. Another float serve upcoming. Great serve again. Tough to handle, and it goes outside the antenna. And Palermo, for what's been a tough night for her swinging, has more than made up for it here from the service line. 3 straight points from the service line here from the Gaels. Can Palermo finish it off? Another hard, aggressive float from her. Drops point, and it's going to be a free ball. Just as effective here for the Gaels. Going to be set up. Set to Van Der Linde. Cross, just out of bounds. Tough one there for Saffron Van Der Linde. Not going to get any call on the touch, but great service run by Ariel Palermo. Puts the Gaels now at 2 match points now. 3rd overall, but 2 in a row now before potentially extra points. And it's a deep serve. Palermo gets to it. Able to fix it as Colpitts tip over the top. Great scramble to get to it, though, from Courier. Tipped over. Going to be set by Colpitts outside. Verchigro, game over. Julia Verchigro puts an end to the 5th set. And the Queens Gaels on home court have secured their biggest win of the season. And a well-balanced attack highlighted by a huge swing by Julia Verchigro, who is efficient hitting the ball all night long. And the Queens Gaels steal one here from the Toronto Varsity Blues. And a huge back and forth contest between these two teams. And the Gaels will hopefully look to build on that heading towards the playoff run. Thank you for joining us all evening long. We are getting set about half an hour's time between the Gaels and Varsity Blues men's showdown. And join us back for that. And thank you for joining us here. Gaels come away with a 3-2 win over the Toronto Varsity Blues.